That. Okay, one moment, Mike. Okay, are you ready?
Yep.
Okay, Mike. So this is Mike McGrath, take 4, tap code.
This is Mike McGrath, take 4, interview, tap code.
Hey, Mike, can you put the slate on the floor because we can still see it?
Okay.
Roll it on the floor. There you go. Okay.
We're talking about the importance of communication. Luckily, in Hanoi, this was our lifeblood. But luckily, I got in with 2 guys that right away taught me the tap code. It was difficult, but I learned it. And here's how fast you can learn the tap code. You go through a wall, you put your ear up against the wall, and you use your knuckle. And what they did, they organized the alphabet in 5 groups of 5 to leave out the letter K. So K could be substituted with a C. If you needed a K, use the letter C. So A, B, C, D, E was 5 letters. First group, letter C. Then you go down to the next group, F, G, H, I, J. So the letter is F. Second group, first letter. So the letter MM for Mike McGrath, here's the letter, third group, third letter. MM, Mike McGrath. And the tough one, well, and if you wanted numbers, it's 1, 2, 3. And so we learned to consolidate. So if you wanted the word the, T. If you wanted the letter T, it'd be that would be TD. Y is YD. Yesterday, tomorrow is TM. We abbreviated, and we had invented text code. We didn't know it, but we had. So we shortened everything, and then you're tapping to the other guy. First, you call him up on the other side of the wall. Then you tap. And when he understands your words, Roger. So here's what it's going. You're tapping. So you're getting halfway through a word, and every time he understands your word, he Rogers it. That's Roger. So you never get to complete a word because he's thinking as fast as you're thinking, and he can keep up with your conversation. He knows what your next word's going to be in the sequence. So we communicate very quietly. Through the wall. That's how we communicate back and forth. And then we finished with CUL, see you later. Or at nighttime, GBU, God bless you. So at nighttime we'd sign off with God bless you, and during the day we'd sign off with see you later, CUL. And we didn't know LOL. Now modernly they LOL, we didn't know that one. So the young kids have determined LOL. But then I moved into a room where the guy was passing around. He said his sister was a mute. She was deaf mute.
Before you get into that, I need to do the Roger. Can you pull your left knee back, Terry? Because I can see your knee. Okay, so just give me a Roger. And then another one. Okay, one moment. Okay, and another one. All right, good, we got that. So now into deaf mute.
So I became very proficient at communication because I had good people under the wall. We could exchange names. We could exchange information. They could tell me the rank structure and who was in there, and I started learning, and I became a communicator. Well, I moved into another room where a guy said his sister was deaf, and he knew the American Sign Language. But we had to draw the American Sign Language on pieces of paper, toilet, and smuggle it through the camp so that other people could learn the American Sign Language so we could communicate visually instead of tap. That would be between rooms that are set apart cells that are set apart, or even camps that are 100, could be 50 yards to the next camp. So I became proficient in the single-handed code. Now, this is the letter C. It looks like a C, and he designed a system that POWs could see at a long distance, but it wasn't quite like the real thing. So like he said, this is number one. This will be the letter A for the first letter, and this looks like a little B, and this is a C. So we memorized this in the camp, but unfortunately, now that I've come back, I became very fast at this, and I was a communicator between camps. And this is M, that's my name, Mike McGrath, that's an M. But when I came back in later years, I found out, that's not the real American Sign Language, ASL. The real one is the letter A instead of this, and the letter B instead of this, and this is a C, and this is a Y. So most of the American Sign Language we used in Hanoi was real, and half of it was bad. But nobody knows POW sign language back here. That's past history. So I've taken it upon myself. Now I'm studying real American Sign Language, and I'm learning a new language. So it's tough. I got to get the old one out of my mind. For instance, pilots always say, roger that. Roger. All pilots all over the world use a thumbs up for roger, which means affirmative, roger. But in American Sign Language, guess what? The real R is this, roger. So I have to get this out of my mind and get this in for an R. And I have to get this out of my mind and get this in. And I have to get this out of my mind and get this in. So that's my personal task, is learning all of the symbology for, I'm trying to learn to speak American Sign Language in the correct way. So it's tough, because I got to get the old stuff out of my brain and get the new stuff in. And so that's my job, is to learn to talk to I walked up to a person, introduce myself, say hello, how are you, but do it all in American Sign Language. So that's what I'm trying to do today as a hobby.
Fantastic. Mike, you amaze me. You're just amazing. And just amazing.